Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. Well, you knew this one was coming. Buckle up, boys and girls. This is a dumb decision for the ages. October 7th, 2023. We've got an ACC game on our hands down at the U between Miami and Georgia Tech. For the Hurricanes, they enter this one sitting pretty with a 4-0 record and are sitting with the number 17 ranking in the country. Win this game to kick off conference play, and you start 5-0 for the first time since 2017, and get to go into next week's game against an undefeated North Carolina team with everything to play for and probably a top 15 ranking. And there's no reason you should lose this one. The Yellow Jackets are 1-3 against FBS schools, and just lost at home to Bowling Green, a team that had lost their last 5 games against FBS schools. You should take care of business here. Unfortunately for Miami, it doesn't quite work out that way, as the game is fairly close, even though the Hurricanes have nearly triple the yardage that the Yellow Jackets do at this point. Turns out, when you turn it over 3 times in the first 58 minutes, you're going to have trouble winning. However, after a lethargic first half that ends with Miami leading just 3-0, the offense is able to find the end zone twice in the second half and ends up taking a 20-17 lead, having the ball with 5.5 minutes left. If you go on a long drive here, you can end the game without having the Yellow Jackets touch the ball again. And after Donald Chaney Jr. runs for a gain of 4 yards on 3rd and 1 to get Miami down to the 34-yard line, sure enough, they do just that. That's the game. A hard-fought win, and a much closer win than a lot of people thought, but a win nonetheless, as this man right here, Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, improves to 5-0. At this point, there's 1:55 left in the contest, and Georgia Tech only has 1 timeout. Even if Georgia Tech uses a timeout here, that doesn't mean anything. A Georgia Tech timeout stops the clock with 1:55, but with a 40-second play clock, Miami can just take a knee on first down, taking it down to 1:15, a knee on second down, taking it down to 35 seconds, and a knee on third down, which would take the clock all the way down to triple zeros. Game is over. Miami improves to 5-0. After last year's disaster of a season where they ended up losing 7 of their final 10 games, to be 5-0 at this point is awfully impressive.
And well, about the time Van Dyke handed it to him, Chaney got hit.
Wait, why are you running a play? Miami? Cristobal? You know you have the game won, right? You don't need to call any more plays. The game is over. Just take a knee and get out of here.
Van Dyke, Chaney again. He'll reach the 30. Georgia Tech's out of timeouts with 72 seconds to go.
Holy cow, is no one telling Cristobal this? Does Cristobal not know this? You don't need to call a play. You don't need to call a freaking play. Just take the knee. Just take a freaking knee. Nothing good can come from this. Nothing good can come from that.
And here's Chaney. The straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You gotta read the clock.
I don't even know what to say right now. I am without speech. I am speechless. I don't even have anything in me to muster up any anger. That's how speechless I am at this. I cannot believe that just happened. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this. Miami literally had the game won. No questions asked. How do you blow this? Just out of curiosity, did this come back to bite the Hurricanes in any way whatsoever? Because that would be awfully embarrassing if it did.
Flush to his right with 6, 5, gonna loop it downfield, and ball is caught! Touchdown, Georgia Tech!
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of a college head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. You know, an episode like this is super tough to make, because we all have working sets of eyes, and we all have a fully functioning brain. I honestly don't even know what I can add to the discussion that hasn't been said already, but I'm going to try my hardest, because not only was this the lowest hanging fruit for a dumb decision in any sport that I've seen in quite some time, but this was quite possibly the worst decision by any head coach in the history of college football, and maybe the history of football, period. If ever there was a Mount Rushmore of dumb decisions made by coaches, this might be at the pinnacle, where you cannot come up with any logical argument as to why they did this. I mean, there are some where even if the argument isn't in good faith or you have to stretch, you could argue for the decision that the coach made, and try and understand the logic. But this is not one of them. Not even close. This is just stupid all the way around. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not kneeling a football with under 40 seconds left while leading by 3 points and the other team having no timeouts is a really bad idea. I mean, do I even need to say anything else? Seriously, do I need to say anything else? Let's look at the risk and reward of taking a kneel down in that situation. Alright, what's the risk of kneeling? Nothing! What's the reward? You win the freaking ball game! That's the final play of the game! Both teams are onto the field, handshakes are given, and you go home happy. Let's take a look at the risk and reward of not taking any in that situation. The best case scenario is that the clock keeps running and the game ends, which, guess what? That's the same exact best case scenario as if you were to take a knee. You might say that the best case scenario is that you score a touchdown, but actually, it's not. If you score a touchdown, Georgia Tech gets the ball back and still has a minuscule chance at winning the game, versus if the clock was running, where their chances would literally be at 0% since no more plays would be called. If you really want to be pedantic and make any sort of argument, you might say that the decision made sense because scoring a touchdown would benefit Miami here, because it gives them more style points in the rankings. But 2 things. Number 1, if you go undefeated in the ACC, you're making the playoff. It doesn't matter whether you beat Georgia Tech by 3 or 10. You just need to win. And number 2, if you were trying to score, then a 30-yard run was not the way to do it, because the odds that you score on a 30-yard run are super slim. And again, that is the only conceivable argument that's trying to give any credit and logic for the decision, other than he had a massive brain fart. There is literally no reward to running the ball here that you cannot get by kneeling it. Scoring a touchdown is worse than not. And if you don't score but retain possession, you run out the clock either way, but it's more of a high-risk play. Which takes us to the obvious risk of what happens when you don't kneel the football in that spot and try to call one more play, which is, well, exactly what the heck happened. You risk a fumble, you risk giving the ball back to Georgia Tech, and you risk losing the game. At the end of the day, the important thing in conference play, especially when you're in a power conference and don't need style points if you're undefeated, is to win the game. You play to win the game. You literally had a chance by taking a knee to win the game. Never before in the history of football, at least to my knowledge, has a team taken a knee while winning and the other team having no timeouts and ended up losing. All you have to do was have your knee hit the ground and the game is over. It's the simplest thing in the book. It was something that, I'm not kidding, literally every coach does in this spot. Every coach except for you. You absolute idiot who is somehow making $80 million to make decisions like this. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this wasn't even the first time that Cristobal made a decision like this. If I had a nickel for every time Mario Cristobal screwed up the ending to a game as a head coach, when he could have just taken a knee, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but I swear that has happened twice. Especially since, this is the easiest part of the job, and this is the part that you don't have to think twice about. Let's flash back to 2018, when he was the head coach at Oregon, and his team was leading by 3 points against the number 7 ranked Stanford Cardinal. On 2nd and 3, there were 58 seconds left in the game, and Stanford had just 1 timeout. let's say you take the knee. All right, that takes the clock down to 55 seconds. Stanford burns their final timeout. Now, let's say you take a knee on the ensuing play. That takes the clock down to 12 seconds. At that point, all you have to do if you're Oregon is get the punt off, and you win the game.
Burdell again, and he'll work hard to move the step. Ball's out. The ball came out. A fumble recovered.
At least you can make an argument for what Cristobal did there, because a first down ends it, and you expect your running back to hold on to the football. And it's not a 100% guarantee they have control of the ball the rest of the way, even if you took 2 kneel downs. But it was still an absolutely awful decision where the odds made no sense. And yet, Cristobal said, screw it, I learned nothing from that. I'll do it again. It's like the person that gets pulled over by a cop for going 100 in a 40, gets a ticket, and then decides not even 2 minutes later to try it again. Shocker, it didn't work. And no, I don't care that maybe this shouldn't have been ruled a fumble. It never should have gotten to that point in the first place. And after the game, Cristobal took full responsibility at least for the decision that may have just ended any chance his team had at making the playoff. As Cristobal said, we should have taken a knee. I made the wrong call. I take full ownership in not taking a knee and giving them the opportunity to have a couple extra plays and preventing us from sealing the win. At least, good on you for taking the blame and realizing your mistake, but it never should have gotten to that point in the first place. Everyone knew the situation there except for you. Everyone knew in real time that what you did was wrong. It's like taking full ownership after you rob someone's house and shoot them, and then you apologize. Like, good for you for owning up to it and apologizing and realizing that you screwed up. But guess what? Everyone knows that you don't rob someone's house and shoot them. That's common sense. Everyone knows that's not the right thing to do. It never should have happened. And the same thing here with Cristobal. Yes, you admitted fault, and that's all you can do after screwing up after that. But you never should have been in a position to do that in the first place. You take the knee. No questions asked. This isn't a game of Madden. You take the freaking knee. Maybe he'll learn the lesson this time, seeing as Miami hadn't taken a knee all season to end the game, and seeing as he made a similar mistake at Oregon. But maybe not. It hasn't gotten through to him. Maybe with $80 million on the line, it will. But who's to say? Honestly, who's to say? Because this was the stupidest thing I've ever seen a coach do. So what do we learn from all of this? If you are winning the game, the other team has no timeouts, and a kneel down quite literally ends the game and gets you the win, then take the knee. We all knew that already. But apparently, Mario Cristobal did not. Mario Cristobal did not know that a kneel down gets you a win, and winning is the most important part of the job. I don't even know if I need to say anything else. This is legitimately, with no exaggeration or recency bias, the worst decision I've ever seen a football head coach make. At least with the miracle of the Meadowlands when that happened back in the NFL with the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, teams really didn't know how to kneel down, and it wasn't insanely commonplace. But there's no excuses for this. I honestly don't know what to say, other than the fact that there were an awful lot of recruits on the sideline watching that game. And God bless anyone that wants to play for this clown of a coach after that one. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.